BATA is a very simple question. It shouldn't have taken you longer than 10 minutes at the utmost to work out the answer of this question. BATA Limited manufactures tackies. The normal production capacity of the plant is 500,000 pairs of tackies per annum. Owing to an increase in local demand, abnormally high production volumes will reach for the financial year ended 31 December 22 with the manufacturing of 550,000 pairs of tackies. So that was the number of tackies that they have produced. The company uses the first in, first out method of inventory valuation. There were 20,000 pairs of tackies on hand on 1 January 22. So opening balance 20,000 pairs. And 540,000 pairs of tackies were sold during the year. Now guys, so you can work out the number of tackies that was actually on hand at the end of the period. No raw material inventory is maintained as purchases are matched to the production demand. So I don't have an opening inventory of raw material, I don't have a closing inventory. So what does that mean by implication? All the raw material purchased for the year was also issued into the production process. Then they give us the following information for the year ended 31 December 22. Opening inventory, pairs of tackies in rand value, 160,000, and we know by now that that equates 20,000 pairs of tackies. And then they give me a lot of information, and what they want from you at the end of the day is calculate the value of closing inventory of BATA Limited as at 31 December 22 in compliance with IS2. Now, we know that there's no raw material on hand. We also know that there's no work in process on hand, so therefore it is only finished goods on hand. Right, so obviously what we need to determine is how many pairs of tackies were on hand at the end of the year before we start talking about costs. Now we said that we had an opening inventory of 20,000 pairs of tackies. Then further during the year, we have manufactured 550,000 pairs of tackies. We also sold during the year 540,000 pairs of tackies. So opening inventory plus the number of tackies manufactured less our sales give us the total number pairs, 30,000 pairs of tackies at the end of the day. Now what do we have to do? We have to determine what is our inventory valuation method, and they've told us that we're using the first in, first out method of inventory valuation. So immediately, if there was 30,000 pairs of tackies on hand at the end of the year, at what cost are we going to value the 30,000 pairs of tackies? At the cost of manufacturing. It will be all out of that bunch of 550,000 manufactured during the year that was still on hand at the end of the day. So we have to determine the total manufacturing cost of the 550,000 tackies during the year. Right, and there we're going to start with raw material, 1375. We already established that there's no inventory on hand, so that would be a direct cost, direct material. Auditors' remunerations, normal operating expense, you ignore that. Same applies to directors' remuneration. Telephone, they don't give us further particulars, so we're going to ignore that. Advertising is a selling cost. It will never form part of our production costs. You're going to ignore that. Depreciation plant is 143,000, and obviously, guys, that's the next cost that's going to have an impact on our total cost of production. So under production overheads, what are we going to have? The first one, depreciation on the plant of 143,000 rand. Equipment is in total 42,000 rand, of which only 20% belongs to the factory. So part of our cost of manufacturing would be 20% of 42,000 rand, and that will give us then, I think this is 20%. Okay, and that gives us 8,400 rand. 8,400, which is that 8,400 that you have there. Right, delivery vehicles, that's a normal selling expense. Furniture, 20% of the 31,000. That forms part of our cost of production. So 31,000 times 20% gives us 6,200, and that is that 6,200 there. Electricity and water, everything is to do with plant, so that will form part of our production cost. With our electricity, water, here it is 50,000 Rand. Repairs and maintenance, plant, 150,000, so the full 150,000, you don't have to worry about fixed and variable costs this year, you're going to worry about that next year. But the full 150,000 is going to be part of our production cost. Repairs and maintenance, we have delivery vehicles again is a normal operating expense, absolutely nothing to do with the cost of manufacturing. Cost of factory management, that's an indirect cost of 120,000, so that's also overhead cost. Cost of manufacturing of the cost of the management, 120,000 Rand. Consumable inventory used in the production process, 165,000. Obviously, we have to take note of that. Here it is, the 165,000. Then wages, 2420. There is the tell us here somewhere that wages equals represent direct labor cost incurred in the production of tackers. So that is a direct cost, 2420,000. 2420,000. So our direct cost, direct material, the 1375. Our direct labor cost, 2420,000. Then we have salaries, pension fund contributions, medical aid contributions, and UIF contributions. It is estimated that 60% of salaries and related contributions to pension fund, medical aid, and UIF are attributable to the management of manufacturing activities. So therefore, what we're going to do is we're going to add all these costs together. And once we have that all together, that gives us 252,000 Rand. And we're going to multiply the 252,000 Rand. That gives us, 420,000. 420,000 Rand, which we're going to multiply by 60%, and that equals then 252,000 Rand. So 300,000 plus 55 plus 35 plus 30,000 gives us 420,000 times 60% gives us 252,000, and that obviously is also going to be an indirect cost. Here it's all set out separately. You could have done that 60, 60, 60, 60 if you wanted to take the detour, or you could have just taken the total and multiplied by once by 60% to get the total. Right. The last point there is just that the estimated net realizable value exceeds the cost of unsold inventory. So why did they tell me that? So that you know that there is no net realizable value adjustment that you have to pass. So the value of our closing inventory as per our statement of financial position will be equal to the cost based on the first in, first out method. If we're now going to determine our total cost, well, if we're going to add all our overheads together, it gives us a total of 894,600. Our working process will include our direct material, like we've already said, of 1375, our direct labor of 2420, and all our overheads of 894,600. So that will give us total amount in working process of 468,600. There's no opening and closing inventory of work in process, so that full amount would have been transferred to our finished goods account. Now, how many pairs of tackies have we manufactured? We have manufactured 550,000 pairs. What was the total cost of manufacturing? 468,600. So 468,600 divided by 550,000 gives us 8 Rand 52,654 per pairs of tackies. We've already established that we have 30,000 pairs of tackies on hand. So 30,000 pairs of tackies multiplied by the unit cost of 8.52654 gives us a total Rand value of closing inventory on hand at the end of the year of 255,796.